This is Spoken by Elswith, a Femdom Hypnosis podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe. Plus, visit my website for sessions too intense to be included here. Visit my Patreon to collect your free codes for sessions. Good news. This podcast episode, it includes a full hypnosis session at the end. It's a complement to the session that I published at the end of last year. It's also going to have a fun test of my hypnotic control over you by using a shorter induction. For those of you who've been listening and doing your practice, I have been quietly training you to follow this induction into just an easier and natural hypnotic trance. There's a chance you've already heard this session. It's been available for my impatient ones on my website. But if you have, I have good news for you. You will find the final 2 worship sessions now available on the website. If you already picked out the bundle for yourself, then you're going to find them on your downloads page. Also, for my spellbound supporters on Patreon right now, there's a handful of bundle sessions available. Do you need help with wet dreams? Or maybe a little puppy play? Or some maid training? It's your choice which collection of sessions that you claim for yourself. So, some of you are aware that I did take a short holiday to head down to see a famous mouse. This particular mouse lives outside of Paris, not the one in Florida or California. If you've been to Disneyland Paris, you have to tell me your favorite ride. Oh wait, no, let's not do just favorite. Let's do least favorite, favorite, and one that you would never ever get on again, which doesn't mean that one has to be your least favorite perhaps, just you're never doing it again. And I want to find out how many say Crush's coaster, because I am shocked at the number of people who either will not go on it or do it once and say it's worse than any coaster they've ever been on. Okay, back to the hypnosis bits. As soon as possible, I'm bringing a new Sabriel session to you all. You can follow the link below to be notified when it's available. I've had a lot of new followers recently, so it might be wise to fill everyone in on exactly who Sabriel is. I consider him to be my eternal suitor, the hypnotized toy of a man who is constantly and consistently bent to my will with powerful suggestions. And most of the time, he's barely aware it's happening. Poor dear. These Sabriel sessions, they kind of form a loose narrative, filling in some of the details of that fantasy-fulfilling relationship. And they let the plot threads themselves, slowly knit together. Penance will be a pretty emotionally and physically intense punishment session, like no other I've done. And now, just before I share the worship session with you, I need to say an extra big thank you to the lovely loyal one who gifted me an amazing new coffee machine. It's probably one of the most bougie things I own, definitely in the kitchen. But I do love using it every day to fuel my writing and recording efforts. More coffee means more fun hypno sessions for you all. That throne wishlist the coffee machine came from is also linked below. It's right below the like and subscribe buttons on YouTube, and you really want to make sure that you've clicked those right now. Go on. Wouldn't it be nice, dear? To massage the algorithm for me by clicking that little thumbs up? Of course it would. So I like that Throne has the fancy crowdfunding options, and it almost feels like I have an Apple versus Android thing going on. I confess, I definitely am moving to be more immersed in the Apple ecosystem again. So if you are that Android fanboy, you can feel free to look at magic cards, coffee beans, or whatever else. It's really bizarre, and maybe true, that every time an Android fanboy surprises me, spoils me with kitchen widgets, nail polish, ink, or whatever, the Apple stock, it actually dips a little. All right, that got a little silly, and I admit it's somewhat because of the poor guy who commented on the last YouTube video with a mild complaint about my whimsical commentary. It's funny because I do this because I like doing it. So the mild complaints, where mild complaints go. However, it is okay, dears. I know it's something that most of you like. I even brought Mr. Regiment System around in the end. Okay, take a nice deep breath in. Put the ring fingers of both hands together, just the tips of them touching. Breathe out. Give yourself a few more of those nice deep breaths. And we are going to begin the session now. This is Worship My Body, a sexually titillating erotic hypnosis session spoken by Elsbeth. You are listening to the short induction version of one of 5 worship sessions that I'm inviting you to indulge in. Before you listen any further, take the time to make yourself comfortable. Find that place where you're unlikely to be interrupted, and you can fully enjoy my voice. Let it wash over you. Let it direct your thoughts, guide you to where I'd best like it to be. I promise this will be a pleasurable experience. The briefest of warnings now. This session and all the others that go with it include thoughts of your lips and tongue on parts of my body. I can't imagine how you might have gotten this far, and that will still be a surprise. If that or any other part of this session causes you distress, my safe word setting sessions are waiting for you to deliver you to a warm and comfortable place. You are my perfect and practiced devoted one. You know the words I am about to speak, and you are ready to intone the spell with me. You know well what effect they will have on you too. Twice I will guide you in the ritual. One more time, you will be given the opportunity to prove your dedication. My body relaxes. My mind empties. My thoughts turn to service, to worship, to the goddess. And words, but words, command, control, bind me. I am entranced. My body relaxes. my mind empties. My thoughts turn to service, to worship, to the goddess. And words, but words, command, control, bind me. I am entranced. When I manifest before you, it will be upon the altar. When I manifest before you, it will be in the easy pose, the Sukhasana, cross-legged and relaxed, accepting that rather than having my hands upon my knees, either the palms upon them or the back of my wrist resting there, instead, my fingertips are raised to my chest. It's not due to modesty or embarrassment that I'm hiding my nipples from you, but my nudity is not a fundamental attribute of this ritual. Not this version of this ritual, at the least. When I manifest before you, I will be facing away from you, and for the type of worship you are about to perform, this is simply perfection. Because of all the ways you can grace my skin with your lips, of all the ways that you can serve the flesh of your goddess with your tongue and teeth, this is my favorite. The altar is of a perfect height, if you can imagine it, that when I sit upon it, meditate upon it, and you stand behind me, then you are essentially the same height as me. You could place your chin easily upon my shoulder. You can do this now. And being able to touch me in this intimate way, an act of mutual closeness, and not worship with your lips, it should be an exquisite source of joy. Of all the ways that you can do just that, can worship your goddess with kisses, this is the one that is the most important. So many of the rituals that have been taught to my adherents are meant to draw them in by their base desires, meant to make the practice seem submissive, a certain sort of sexual service. And if I were less than I am, if I were mortal, then those would bring me pleasure. But what happens next would make me shudder, would make goosebumps rise upon my arms. This is how I love most to be worshipped. The goddess is not naked. Around my waist and covering my thighs is a fine silken shroud of rich red so dark that in the dim light it seems almost black. The single piece of cloth, you can tell, is held in place with a golden brooch stylized like a hummingbird, and that bird-like pin, it's decorated with a dozen or more cut emeralds. That decoration on my hip is your ultimate goal, your ultimate target. And you can imagine from there a sort of path of enlightenment. It starts just below my left ear, leads down my neck and to my right shoulder, and then further down down again, down along my spine. So now you can imagine that first act of worship, that first kiss. Your goddess will stay perfectly still as you kiss that first point, just below my ear. You can imagine the scent of me most distinctly at this time. Upon my neck is where my attendant applied a heady, fragrant oil, and you can choose now to close your eyes and savor it. And as you do this, you are overcome with a desire to speak strange words. These words come easily, as if from nowhere, though only at a whisper. And present as I am, your goddess hears them as if they were shouted in ecstasy to the heavens. Darling goddess, I vow unto you my unfleeting devotion. You know now the path that you must walk. Your kisses must fall, each one equidistant on that arc I described, along my neck, over to my right shoulder. And your focus, your patience is important. Each kiss must feel the same. Each kiss must sound the same. And each kiss must be offered in earnest, never to be given forcefully, nor be rushed. It is in that spot on my shoulder that could indeed have the greatest effect. It's that spot that would have me melt into you, lean back into your chest and demand more upon more. Might ask you to stay right here, to employ your tongue, bringing it back to my neck and then back, and putting your hands on my waist, steadying me as I lose myself in a stolen moment of pleasure. And oh baby, won't you use your teeth? Won't you leave a perfect purple mark for the morning? Won't you squeeze me, press up against me, won't you? But your goddess remains stoic. This is the way of things, and you can kiss my shoulder just once. When you make the next proclamation, when you offer more of yourself to me, you speak the words just a little louder than before, and so close you are to me, know that I hear them perfectly. Darling goddess, I vow unto you my incomparable adoration. Your next kisses are for my back, and now you can lay your hands upon me, can touch my sides, my ribs, right below my armpits. And if you were called upon to worship me a dozen times, then it would only be this way, for this right that you would be permitted to lay hands upon me. But you can feel that slickness, the finest film of scented oil that's been smoothly massaged into my skin. You can feel it on your fingertips and your palms, and you can press your hands more firmly against me. As you worship, as you kiss along my spine, you can lower those hands along my sides, slowly descend, so carefully, so evenly down. This shouldn't be effortless. It should require, always and forever, attention and considered care. where the folds of burgundy silk cross from one hip to the other. That's where you stop, at the small of my back, and with your hands oily and fragrant upon my hips. Darling goddess, I vow unto you my unquenchable lust. I accept your lust, and dear devoted one, I wish to retain it. This worship of my body is a chaste one, even as it is a ritual of seduction, a rite of initiation if you like. And even now that it is over, you can take pleasure in the scent of the oil on your fingertips. Is it a chocolatey scent? Is it one of berries or lemongrass, or a masculine scent like sandalwood? You can think on this even as I continue to tell you what comes next. You saw the bird-like brooch that holds my only garment in place. It is decorated with a number of emeralds, and you can see now that one of the stones is larger than any of the others. Your last act in the presence of your goddess, when I demand it, will be to kiss that stone. And you will do this for me when I speak those 3 words, that simple and easily understood instruction. When I say to you a final time today, worship my body, you will wake easily and immediately out of hypnotic trance. When I give you that instruction, all other suggestions I have given you about this experience, the symbols of your devotion and your faith, will lift easily. When you wake from trance, you will feel joy. You will feel a deep understanding of my love for you as my follower, one who reveres me. And with your mood lifted up and into the heavens, you will be ready for whatever comes next, be it a busy and productive day, or an opportunity for relaxation and recreation, or even drifting into a deep and restorative slumber. And you do each and any of these things with my blessing. Now I will ask you for that last moment of veneration, that last kiss. Worship my body.